You are in the zone with Cranky and the Swagman.
Hello,
All right.
hello. How are you going, Cranky? How is everyone going?
It's been a long ass week, man. It really
It has.
has. It's
Well, I got good news
ridiculous.
this week. Got a new job offer this week, so it looks like I'm going to be working at the airport on the good old heavy machinery.
Oh
So
yeah, okay.
I've decided to not step away from health and safety, but just get into something local for a bit. So
Mm.
I thought, bugger it, I'll go back into my operating field and go back into that. So yeah, bit of excitement for the new week coming up. I start on Monday. Yeah,
Shit, that's all right. That's
it's
a
not
good
bad
gig
at
for you.
all. What's been happening in your world?
Um. Oh man, things have
Same
just
old, same
been
old.
things have been winding up for Christmas. I wish I could say
Yeah,
winding down, but they're not.
good
These
old
people,
Santa
when they get
Claus letters are coming out now, getting sent off.
Dear Santa Claus, please get my fucking gas and water hooked up quickly. That's that sort of that sort of Santa
Dear
letter.
Santa
That's
Claus,
coming in at
please
work.
finish off my house faster than slower because it is coming across quite well at the moment. Actually, the new home build. Once I get that all
Mm.
moved in and we're in there, I'll give everyone a tour. It's pretty good.
I can't wait. I love seeing new homes.
Oh
It's
yeah,
one of
it's
my
going to be
favorite
great.
parts of my job
And
is being able to go into these new houses and just check them out and see how the other half
that's
live.
it. It's going to be awesome. I'll send you some pictures actually.
Yeah, yeah.
And before we jump into it, just want to put a quick disclaimer out there. It's been on a few of our, which has been on a few of our podcasts already.
Mm-hmm.
And that is their views and opinions are just of that of ours and no one else's. Please don't sue us. These are just our opinions and our beliefs, our experiences, and what we've been in.
That's right.
Um, this is nothing that, it's just an open forum.
These are not the views or opinions of our sponsors or anyone that we work for, etc., etc. Not
That's
that
it.
anyone
Just
can really track us down because we use pseudonyms. However, I think that a large number of our listeners are already people that know who I am anyway, so it doesn't really count.
that's it. Give me 2 seconds and I'll be right back there.
No, that's okay.
Quickly do something. Oh, just wanted to change into something fresh because the kids have got allergies and they're on their way. And I
Ah, they're
was
on their way
I was
tonight.
working with
Okay.
peanuts and hazelnut today, cooking
Mm, mm.
and eating Ferreros. So
Gotta love the
yes,
Ferrero
oh
Rochers.
yes.
They are one of the best chocolates out
Today's
there.
oh yeah, lovely. Today's big topic that we're
Hmm.
going on, which we've got a few topics we're going to try and hit, and that
Yeah,
is that of cameras in the work utes and machines.
yeah, yeah.
So I've obviously experienced this in my TMA duties when I was working traffic control TMA.
I mean, they've had
Um,
cameras in TMAs forever.
oh, forever, yeah. Where you get filmed on the inside and obviously got another camera filming the outside as well. Um,
As one of our TMA drivers discovered a couple of years ago when he
mm.
decided he was going to watch a certain type of video while he was supposed to be working.
Yeah, no. And what's your thoughts on it? My views on this, like it sort of does breach on the privacy side of it if you're just
Mm.
putting it in the standard work utes. But then if you obviously the TMAs, like it needs to be in there. But
Yeah.
do you think it breaches the privacy of your workers, or is it more justifying what's going on and what's being said with today's sort of advancements, I guess, in technology?
Is it? Does it? is it justified? I don't really think so with the average work ute.
Yeah.
Um,
Because you've got your
but I
bosses listening to your conversations, and you can't really vent inside the vehicle anymore because what the cameras are on you all the time, listening to everything you say.
Me personally, I've never really done that. If I'm going to
Yeah,
vent to someone, I'm going to do it while we're
outside of
working.
yeah,
It's going to be outside of the ute. So really, like if these guys want to hear a homemade version of Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen, they're more than welcome to
more than
record
welcome.
me inside the ute. But honestly, I think
Yeah.
it's a waste of time and money.
Well, even on the mine sites now, there's a few mines that have started doing it, and they're putting the cameras inside the buses. And someone recently, well, I say
Mm,
recently, but it was
mm,
a while ago, they actually lost their job because they were talking shit about one of the bosses in the bus, but they were venting to their workmates, and the whole crew, from memory, the whole crew stood up in defense of this bloke because he was
yeah,
just
yeah.
venting to the team. There was no issue, but obviously the bosses decided to tune in on the camera at that exact point, went live
Yeah,
with it,
yeah.
and started listening to everything that was going on inside the bus. And then the following day, obviously, sacked this bloke, told him, come in, stand down. Comments that were
Mm,
made were deemed inappropriate. And it's like, well, they were made in private inside the bus. And that's where it sort of heated the discussion with everyone else on site, saying, well, hang on. He was in the confined spaces of the bus talking to his crew, venting like we all did. Wasn't
yeah,
just him.
yeah.
We all talked shit about the management and what was going on, and the good and the bad of the day. It's just a venting place. So for me, it's not. I don't see how it could help other than you're spying on your employees. Now, if you're going to use it to track their driving behavior, fair enough.
Mm, mm,
But if you're doing it because of certain people, or making complaints about what is said on the bus or
yeah,
in the
yeah.
work ute, well, then that needs to be, I think, a private one-on-one with that colleague, the way it's always been. But I think having live cameras inside the work utes, listening to every conversation that ever happens, yeah, I'm sort of on the fence. I don't like it, but I like it because, yes, it helps you if someone tries to make an accusation against you. But then it also breaches if you're just in the car by yourself and you want to
Mm.
make a personal phone call, you can't just turn the camera off.
Well,
Like
I
it's
mean, it goes two ways, right? You can it goes in the direction like you just said. It helps you cover your ass in a bad situation, but
hmm.
on the other hand, you can always have the camera recording video without audio.
Well, that's it. So
I
that's
think
the other
that
thing.
the problem is the audio recording that becomes a breach of privacy
Yeah.
because if
And a
you're
lot of them get around it by just putting it in the contracts now, or updating their current
mm,
employee
mm,
contracts stating you must now sign this if you want to be employed, be known that you'll be recorded at all times in the work year.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I think that's how they're catching people out. It's like, do you want your job or not? Mine sites have been doing it for some time. Some of them have put the cameras in, some of them haven't. Um,
mm,
and
mm.
I've spoken to quite a few, and people are on the fence about it. Some people see it as a good thing, same as what we think. It's some good, some bad, covers your ass, but then what are they really using it for? So
Yeah, like I mean, what is the point of recording the audio
yeah, I don't
other
understand the audio. You can
than
have the visual pointed on,
yeah,
say, the driver,
yeah,
but
yeah.
having the audio in there, I think that sort of takes it to a new level where people aren't comfortable.
I mean, that's just flat out spying
Mm. Yeah, 100%. Have you
because
spoken to any of your workmates about it? Like, obviously, your company's running
yeah.
it.
My company already has the cameras inside the utes. We don't have inward facing cameras, just outward facing dash cams
Yep.
to monitor the driving of workers. Um, every couple of months they threaten that they're going to turn the microphones on or whatever, but they don't. They never do.
Yeah.
So
But is it a
it's
thing where they can access it whenever they want? So that's the other thing, or is it a manual thing they've got to do each individual vehicle?
I think for the sake of privacy, it's a manual thing.
Yeah.
They've got to do it to each individual vehicle. So I know for every change to the GPS trackers, I've got to take my ute into the yard to get it pulled apart and have the GPS tracker updated.
Yeah.
So it's probably the same thing with the camera. I know the camera has a mic on it. I've I can see the mic. It's a little pinhole in the back of the camera with the
Yeah.
word mic written next to it, so I assume that's what it is.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, we are live on Facebook to everyone that is listening. We do have one person on Facebook at the moment.
Aye, we do.
So thank you for joining us. It's probably my wife. Or
Or it could be my wife. That's
it could be your wife. That
more
is
than
also
more
true.
than more than likely your wife though.
Let's see if anyone's in our studio. No one's. If you are listening, jump in our studio chat, say hello. If you've got any questions for us that you want to ask, feel free to chuck them in there, and if we deem it appropriate, we will respond to them.
Yeah, please do.
So, but yeah, that's the biggest thing. And as we've seen on
Mm.
the news recently as well, there still seems to be construction workers now in the crossing lines of being killed when going to work. So there's another,
Two in
yeah,
the
two,
last week
another
or so.
traffic
Mm.
controller, I believe, on your neck of the woods and also our neck of the woods.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
a guy was simple. I think he was on his lunch break, and a drunk driver, drunk and probably on drugs, decided
yeah.
to get behind the wheel and unfortunately ran over this worker and killed him. So, and he would have only been in his 40s.
Mm,
And now his
mm.
family's without. They have started a GoFundMe, and I think it's raised about $18,000. But it just goes to show how dangerous our job is. Like any job that requires you working on the main roads is dangerous. Like,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
traffic control is up there, and there's not enough awareness of what's going on, other than us physically doing this. There is no awareness to it. But there
Mm,
is a
mm.
lot more going on in the industry, and I think the work safe departments need to come out and speak to the workers and go, how can we make this better? Because we've got the ideas and the improvements there to get these problems fixed. Obviously, we can't stop drunk drivers getting behind the wheel, but we do have ideas to mitigate it. But it's just about cost and enforcement.
It's also about actually getting that idea listened to. It's not so much
That's it.
about what what would I how can I word this? It's not so much about getting the idea out there. It's about getting the right people to listen to this idea because
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of good ideas in my time, but that's the problem. I'm the person that's heard them.
Yeah. No
I'm
one
I'm not
else.
in a I'm not in a position to make this idea a reality.
Yeah.
You know,
It's the big wigs.
yeah, you
And
can
that's the
complain
hardest thing
to
because you can put in all the requests and the ideas,
yeah,
and
exactly.
you get that same generic response. They're like, "Oh, give us your feedback. We'll take it on." You get the same generic response. Thank you
Hmm.
for giving us this feedback. We've passed this on to the relevant department. Or you get the other one. Thank you for your feedback, and we'll be in touch if we need any more information surrounding this issue. Um,
Both of those sets of feedback both come back to the phrase "We're going to do fuck all about this."
pretty much, and that's the frustrating part. Like, how many more deaths need to happen before the government finally stands up and says, okay, enough's enough. This is
Mm,
what's going to
mm.
be implemented. These are the controls that every company that's working on a main road project, working on any kind of road, these are the controls that need to be in place, because quite clearly TMAs are not enough, cones are not enough, hard barricades don't seem to be enough. It's like, what's it going to take now? Are we going to actually have to, if we just want to do some concrete work for a footpath, we're just going to have to block off all the street and say, right, take
Yeah,
detours, take public transport to stop the 1% of people that could potentially kill our workers. Because what more can we do? We put in the barricadings, we put in the TMAs, and somehow our traffic controllers and construction workers are still getting hit, still getting injured, and are now losing their lives. Like, what more can we do now?
I mean, you said before that it could be a person who's drunk or high. It doesn't even necessarily have to be that, right? Take for example this experience I had earlier this week. Um, I was working a job. We were trying to get the excavator across the road, so the excavator driver asked me to hold up all the traffic. I did. All right. I got my offsider to go and stop. I went on stop. We had the full set of signs in each direction, so there was no excuse for this to happen. Okay. Some some driver from my offsider's side decided to drive around her, and okay, so at this point I've spotted him and I pointed to him and I gave him the stop signal like that. I put my hand up, right?
Yeah.
And he came to a stop then, and I started waving the excavator driver across the road. Like I gave him that sort of
Please
gesture.
come.
Yeah, come over. Now, if this driver could hear me, he would have heard that I had said, "We're ready for you, Moe." It was an open cabin excavator, so the guy could hear me, right?
Yeah.
And at the same time, I'd given him the hand gesture. Well, this driver didn't get that. I didn't get that message. This driver thought that I was waving him through,
Oh
right?
no.
So he came up to me because I saw him moving again. So I'm like, no, okay, stop where you are. Roll down your window. I actually had a chat to this guy, and I'm like, what are you doing? Okay, what is going on here? And he's like, you waved to me. You waved me through. And I'm like, no, I didn't. And he goes, you did. I saw you. No, mate.
No, no.
Please. This actually resulted in me making a TikTok video, right? Because this guy actually he sat there for about 5 minutes trying to tell me how I'm wrong. I'm doing this wrong, right?
How it's your fault.
How it's my fault. I think you actually watched the video. You would have seen it. Um, and he brought race into it for some reason. He was an Indian guy, and he's like, "What you think this is my first day on Australia that I don't understand the road rules?" And I'm going, "No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that you're
Yeah.
not understanding what I was doing. The problem is, it's not so much that you don't understand the road rules. It's that you were given a stop signal. Okay, so don't bloody worry about what anybody else is doing on site. That
Yeah.
stop signal was enough for the people behind you. All
To
right,
know what's
they
going on.
didn't go through it. So, and obviously, oh, that was the other thing. He tells me that my offsider was too close to the side of the road for him to see her properly. And I was like,
Oh, pff.
so hang on. Tell me how it is that you knew that she was too close to the side of the road if you couldn't see her.
Yeah. Clearly seen the signal. He tried to get through. It's like, hang
Like,
on, there's an excavator here, mate. We're trying to get the excavator across the
yeah,
road.
that's it. Like the excavator's come across the road, and then he's like, no, you were waving to me. And I go, please, this is what I said to him. I'm like, look in your rearview mirror. All right. Tell me where the excavator was before I started waving. And he's like, the excavator was over there. And now where is it? Oh, it's over there. Ah,
Hmm.
so I wasn't waving to you. I think you misheard how I said that the first time. I said I wasn't waving at you. Okay, you thought that I meant that I wasn't waving. Oh no, that's not true. I was waving. I just wasn't waving at you.
Yeah,
And
no.
then he turns to me and he goes, "Well, you're an idiot," and then he just drives off.
Yeah, no, they're the situations where I think body cams need to come into it. I reckon it's probably already at that point where anyone working on any kind of road, main road, construction site, in terms of the general public, I think need to have a mandatory supplied camera attached to them,
Oh,
where the company has to pay
absolutely.
for body cams. And
Mm,
so
mm.
when something happens, bang, it's all there. It's audio recorded. It's there.
Oh,
Which
just
obviously you can just turn on when an incident's about to happen or is happening. You can just push the button, turn it on, and activate. So you don't have to keep it running all the time.
Just really quickly, I would like to say that our listener is not, in fact, one of our wives. It's a gentleman called Matt Fitzgerald, who's
Yes, it's
listening
just
in from
popped
the
up.
Central Coast. Thank you very
Thank you.
much
Thank you very much. Thanks for
for
joining.
for listening to us live, Matt. Hopefully, more people can join in. And he says it's such a fine line. Hey guys, well, what's the fine line? You'd have to be a little bit more specific about that, Matt.
He's probably hinting on the fine line between where we were
Pleasure and
talking
pain.
about the cameras. Yeah, pleasure and pain of the job. It's yeah, between the cameras in the vehicles is probably where he's hinting at. Um,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Body
Between,
cameras,
is it body cameras?
I
It
totally
is
agree with.
body cameras. I think is probably the only way. Well, it's not the only way, but it is a way that we can probably improve what's happening out on site,
Yeah,
where
yeah,
you can actually have the willpower just to turn the camera on when something is going down. Like when there's an issue, bang, touch it, camera's rolling.
like you know how good it would be to
It
even,
just
even,
needs to be
even.
more. Something more needs to happen.
Mm,
There's again too many workers dying. Um, Matt's just saying it's such a fine line. Hey guys, spot on, definitely guys. Yeah, it's just one of those situations, and it's the same thing when it goes into the mine sites as well. They've started doing the same thing. Some sites where the HSE now has a body camera, and they flick it on every time they go to do their
yeah.
rounds. Security
Mm.
guys have it. The security guards walking around have got the body camera. They switch it on every time they walk around. Um, so why aren't we taking that experience and putting it into our traffic controllers and saying, all right, everyone has to wear body cams supplied by the company. The company obviously then charges that cost onwards to the client as an additional
Yeah,
cost.
yeah.
And it's just another level of protection, not
I've
only
actually
for the
thought
traffic
of
controller, but for what's happening out on site.
I've actually thought of buying one of my own because there's a certain project that I work on over here in Sydney where it's um, it's very close to a couple of sets of housing commission flats.
Yeah.
And man, let me tell you the amount of abuse we cop for not letting
Yeah.
these dudes sleep in till 11 o'clock in the morning, right?
Yeah, they need to understand work starts, well, over here I believe it's 7:30, 8 o'clock, somewhere around
Mm,
there.
mm,
7
mm.
a.m. I think it is that construction can start. It can't
Yep,
start before
that's
then.
that's the
That
same here.
rule consistently changes. But I'm certainly sick of seeing construction workers and anyone working on main roads get injured or killed just by doing their job.
I agree.
There's
Yes.
it's everyone goes, oh well, you know that's the risk you take with that job. Well, if you didn't have those workers, these jobs wouldn't be getting done. If you didn't have the traffic controller, the job wouldn't even be getting started, which means there would be no improvements to infrastructure, no improvements to any schools, libraries, community centres, roadways, bridges, train lines, none of that, because you need traffic controllers in place so they can do that job. So it needs to be um, you
Mm,
want it
mm.
needs to be a situation now where something needs to happen, action needs to happen, cameras need to be a big play in this. So
We need body cams. What we don't need is internal facing vehicle
cameras,
cameras in the Utes
yeah,
that record audio because I mean
100%.
a lot of that footage is just going to be me singing fucking Bohemian Rhapsody or something like that.
Good old
And
Queen.
there, that's it. And there's going to be a lot of stuff that people say in those utes
Yeah,
that they would never actually say to one of their bosses. It's it's an offload. It's not
that's it.
an actual complaint.
It's a place to vent.
Yeah,
The
it's
other
a
the other thing
yeah,
is, which I've been noticing as well. Obviously, over here in Perth, it is hard to get work
yeah, yeah.
if you don't have the experience. But what about those that have gone to prison? They've come out.
Mm,
They've gone and
mm.
got their traffic control license. Now they want a job in traffic control. Um, it there's no sort of regulation, there's no character reference checks to obtain that. You can literally just go do the course, bang, here's your ticket to be a traffic controller.
So it's one thing
Now,
to get your ticket; it's another thing to actually apply for the job. A lot of I
that's
don't
it.
know about WA, but I know a lot of companies over here will run a background check on you if you work for them.
Yeah. So it comes down to the individual traffic control company. Obviously, they'll do their checks
Mm.
and whatnot, and then you get employed based on their discretion. The other thing is that, those that do have criminal records and they want a spent conviction. Now, that's probably a topic that we can send out to our listeners and ask, those with
Yeah.
a
Mm.
criminal record that is 10 years plus. Now, a lot of these records after 10 years do get wiped, but there is convictions that go across to the district court that you can't just wipe off automatically after 10 years. You have to go and apply to the district court and plead your case to the district judge as to why your
Well, yeah.
conviction should be spent.
Is it 10
So
years? I thought the
it's
statute of limitations was 7.
Yeah, so some convictions are 7, some are 10. It depends on the nature of the
Okay.
crime and the
Yeah.
conviction.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if it's driving offences and all that, you can apply to it's an application online, goes through the
Mm. Mm.
waypole for here in WA. It'll go to your local police station basically, and you put your form in, sign it off. They send it off to the commissioner. The commissioner wipes your record,
Yeah.
and
Fair.
that's if
Fair.
you haven't committed an offence to the legislation that bases in your state. Now, my view is if you've got charges that are in the district court that you were charged in the district court for, and you've proven yourself to the community that you're rehabilitated, I do believe the court should grant a second chance to that person, depending on there's a few variables. Obviously, what has happened since the offence was committed? What have you done since that time?
Yeah.
And what were your charges for, and have you committed that same offence in between? And character as well, and life, and whatever's going on. Now, I think there should be second chances. There's other people out there that say, well, if you've got a criminal record, you're stuck with it, you deserve to have it. But I don't think you should be
I
tarnished
believe
the
in
rest of your
second
life.
chances. Yeah.
Yeah, second chances. I believe the court isn't just there to convict; it should also be there to help redeem and give somebody that redemption for a second chance.
I mean, justice is meant to be fair. That's
Yeah.
why it's represented by a blindfolded lady holding a scale. It's supposed to be fair.
Somebody has commented, you want to come on and weigh in properly.
No, that was me
That was you?
asking Matt if he wants to come on
Ah, okay. It's come
and
across
actually.
on Swagman instead of Cranky. That's funny.
No, well,
Oh,
originally
there we go.
there's a point where it came up with my actual name as well.
Thanks for listening, Matt. Send a friend request and I'll also keep in touch. Yeah, we'll reach out to you, Matt. No problems at all. Also, jump on our Obviously, you're on our Facebook page, but leave a comment on the Facebook on one of our posts there, and we'll reach out, or you can send us a DM message as well. And share this podcast and our live with your
Please
Facebook
do,
group
yeah.
and your pages. We're here for you guys, and we want to get as many stories in about what is happening, what we can do to improve the industry, your experiences. We want to hear all the stories. This isn't just a show for us, a podcast for us. We've started this up for you guys, so you've got a place to come and vent, because we realized there was a gap in the market and nobody was doing what me and Cranky are doing, which is speaking about the real issue. A lot of people are out there putting little TikTok videos and all that, but they're not talking about the actual problems in the industry.
And again, that whole privacy thing,
Mm,
right? The reason why we were talking about the cameras inside the vehicles is that's the entire reason why we use pseudonyms on this podcast. We got Cranky,
yeah,
we got Swagman. Every person we've spoken to, we had Snoozy, we've had Sniper.
yeah.
Um, it's all pseudonyms. Obviously, I don't actually know a guy called Sniper. It'd be fucking cool if I did,
That'd be
but
so cool. Yeah, and the other thing is as well, which have you noticed in some of the jobs that you apply for now? Probably not yourself, but I've noticed it where
mm,
you apply
mm,
for the job and it says on there, "Do you have a criminal conviction?" Obviously, I tick no. Um, but then you go further down, it says, "Do you have a spent conviction?" Now, I don't believe that question should be allowed in every single job unless your job that you're going for is government or
yeah,
it's to
yeah,
do with something, you know, high level in terms of management, in terms of, you know, a very good job. Like I've noticed that you get with volunteer
yeah,
firefighters, any government jobs you have to declare. But I've now noticed it's starting to roll out to mine sites, local jobs, working in your simple retail store. Any job that I've seen to look at, every question comes why. You got a criminal record. Got to tick yes or no. Do you have a spent conviction? A spent conviction means you've got a redemption, a second chance. So
yeah,
whether I've got a
yeah,
spent
mm,
conviction or not doesn't matter because technically it doesn't exist anymore. It's spent. It's not there. It doesn't show up on an original police clearance for a reason because the courts have decided, right, you deserve a second chance. So do you think employers should have the right to ask, do you have a spent conviction if you're just applying for a mine site job, to
I,
do
I,
with, say,
s-
operating or a trade assist or a
mm,
labourer, for
mm.
instance?
I suppose it depends on the type of conviction and the type of job that you're applying for. Say, if
Mm.
you're applying for a job at a supermarket and you have a spent conviction for shoplifting, that's probably not really a good match now, is it?
Well, it's not, but here's where it gets tricky. The idea of the courts granting that spent conviction means you've proven to the courts that you've rehabilitated, that you're no longer that person because you have to serve a 10-year period or,
Yeah,
at least a 7-year period. And then you've got to prove to the courts that you deserve that second chance. So it can't just be, and most armed robbery or shoplifting, um, depends on the nature of the shoplifting. It can end up in district court, depending on how many times you've been there, etc. There's a lot of variables in it. Sometimes it is magistrate, but it moves. Um, yeah, it wipes your record so you can get that fresh start. So should you have to disclose it if the job title and your convictions, and your convictions are not going to interfere with that job, should you have to disclose it?
actually, yeah, I like that response.
So
That's
it's
that's
it,
why
it is a
I asked
fine
the
line.
question.
It's
It's a good
tricky.
one.
It's
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
it's it's hard. But the idea of a spent conviction is you do get redemption. Now, why should an employer be able to hold against you? Oh, sorry, we can see that you don't have a criminal record, but based
yeah,
on your spent
yeah,
conviction, we're not going to give you the job because that defeats the purpose of the criminal record. Now, if the way around it and the way I think most people do it that have gone through that process is when they get to the do you have a criminal conviction? No, because technically it's spent. Now, when the spent conviction question comes up, do you have a spent conviction?
yeah.
Don't answer it. Leave it blank and go to the next question. Therefore, you haven't said yes, but you haven't said no, but you haven't answered the question either. And
It's
unless it sort of prompts you to have to answer it or it's brought up
mm,
in an
mm,
interview, my response and the way I've spoken to a lawyer about this sort of situation, and the way that you could answer it is, does this job require for me to disclose my spent conviction? What's the
yeah,
nature of why
yeah,
you're asking if I've got a spent conviction? Now, you know that you don't have a criminal record. But
Mm, mm.
why do I have to tell you that I've got a spent conviction when the courts have deemed me of good character to wipe my criminal record so I can start again? It's so employers can't use that. But now I've noticed again on Seek with a lot of jobs, um, that is the do you have a criminal record? And it's just basic jobs. So operator jobs, labouring, TA, to work in administration, to work in the health department in the basement doing records. They ask, do you have a spent conviction? It's like, well, why do you need to know? It's not like this job's got anything to do with it. And if I don't have a criminal record, which you have to answer, do you have a criminal record? Yes or no? You have to answer that.
That's correct. Yes.
But part two of that is you shouldn't have to disclose if you have any spent convictions unless you're going for a government role. And believe me, even charges that have been dropped. So I've been in that situation where charges have been dropped. I had a mate who was locked up in prison. I went and visited him while he was locked up, and he started shit talking about weapons and all this kind of crap that he had buried in his backyard and rah rah. And me being senile, like, oh yeah, cool. Fed into his bullshit, like just obviously was never going to act on anything and just listen to him talk shit the whole time. Well,
Yeah.
before you knew it, I had the coppers on my door arresting me for conspiracy for an indictable offence. Now the charges got dropped, so therefore, like just before the court date, we said to the prosecution, "Show us the evidence." They had none. All they had was the audio recording and nothing else because there was nothing buried in his backyard. He was just talking shit, making up crap, like just to have conversation. And they found nothing. So therefore, there's
So how
but
did they
that
get
is
the audio recording, if you don't mind me asking?
so in prison. Every single conversation is recorded.
Oh, okay. Sorry. So he was already in prison. I missed that bit. My bad.
Correct.
My bad.
Yeah. He was already locked up, and I've gone and visited him. And then on the way out, apparently they were already raiding the house because they were listening to that conversation, particularly before I'd even left the jail. So before I'd even finished my visit, they were already at the house raiding it again, and they found nothing. And obviously, then came and charged us with conspiracy. But those charges got dropped when it was finally ready to go to court because our lawyer, my lawyer, kept asking, "Give us evidence, show us cause for the charges," and they couldn't prove it, and they couldn't give us significant evidence that would allow them to make a successful charge. So they dropped it.
And if I recall, Mr. Swagman has a bloody good lawyer.
I have a very good lawyer. Super bloody great lawyer.
That always helps.
It always does help. But I recently received a phone call from a government department, and they were talking, about the issue and the incident that happened. I can't really go much into it, but it's surrounding my kids. And they were asking all these questions, and then it got to the point of, can you tell us about this conspiracy charge? And I said, what do you mean? That's not. I don't have anything on my criminal record that would bring that up. It was discontinued. It was dismissed. The charges were dropped. They go, yeah, but we're a government department. We can still see it. So even if you're not charged with it, it's still on the database that you were charged with it, but the charges were dropped. Even though it won't show up on your criminal record and it won't show up on your, like if you order your police clearance, it won't show up that these charges were dropped. And it won't show up on a spent conviction because you were never charged. But
it's the same. So the same as getting a driving record, to my knowledge, because you say me, for example, I haven't had a fine since 2017. So that's 7 years. I haven't had a fine. Go me.
Yay. I got one the other day. Hey, I was literally, was it 10 Ks over? Because it's only just dropped to a 70 zone. And I kept thinking it was the 80 zone. Like in the last couple of months, it's only dropped to a 70 zone. But every time I go through this area, I just forget.
Similar sort of case with my last fine. I was heading down the M1 between Newcastle and Sydney. and there's a spot where it drops from 110 to 90, and I was
Yeah.
doing 120.
Oh.
There just happened to be a copper on a bike.
Oh no. Hey,
Yeah,
and he's pinned you. What did he get you
with
at?
with the radar gun. So I explained the situation. I was like, bro, I was like, mate, sorry. I had the cruise control on 120. Because that's what most people were doing on the road.
Yeah.
I just thought all these people had slowed down
Yeah.
for no real reason. I was already in the right lane, so I was like, I guess I'm
Oh,
just
see.
overtaking everyone now. So okay,
Yeah.
cool.
So
And
somebody's
then
seen the copper and
yeah,
you
next
did
thing
not.
oh no. They'd all slowed down to about maybe 100 or so. So I thought, well, now I guess I'm overtaking everyone. You
You
know,
thought, yeah.
I hadn't realised that the speed limit had dropped to 90.
Oh
Um,
no.
I explained that to the cop, and he's like, you know what? Because you didn't realise the speed had dropped. I'll give you 10 over instead of 30 over. So
Wow.
I don't know about WA, but
Yeah.
over here in New South Wales, 30 over is enough to lose your license.
Yeah, no, it's pretty much 30 over. You'll get your car impounded. They deem it as hoon driving.
Yeah, that's the one.
Um,
Yep.
but it comes down to the copy you're dealing with.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
really comes down. Have they had a good day? Have they hit a shit day? Do they have a quota for the day that they've got to hit? And,
Yeah.
they haven't hit it. Is the boss riding them? And I know for a fact that coppers do have a quota because I've asked them individually, is there a quota?
Oh
And
yeah,
they've
they
turned
do.
around to me, and I've spoken to Highway Patrol, and they've turned around and said,
Mm.
unofficially, no. Unofficially, yes. Officially, no. So off the record, yes,
Yeah.
there's a
Yeah.
quota. On the record, no, there's not. And I said, well, why have they got a quota? And they said, we've got to meet targets to show that the station's performing. If the station's not performing, they either redirect the employees or they shut the station down because it's not performing, it's not hitting performance KPI targets. So they do have targets they've got to hit. Otherwise, the station isn't performing, they close it down, which is why you've noticed police stations slowly getting shut down. And it's very minimal to what we've got now.
Mm.
It's got nothing to do with money because they have an abundance of money coming in. It's performance. And if you'll
Yeah.
notice on your
Yeah.
ticket, every single station, depending what area you're in, they all have a different ABN number. They're a separate
They
entity,
do.
each and
Yeah.
every station.
They
So,
the police have their own ABN numbers. But anyway, I digress. My point is, um, even though that offence by itself is 7 years old, that's past the statute of limitations.
exactly. Yeah.
If I order a driving record, say if Uber, because I'm an Uber driver, requests one, that offence will still show up on that driving record.
Yeah. You can apply to have your driving record cleaned as well. So
Mm.
there's a separate application for it. It shouldn't show up. But in saying that, if it just depends on what access that company has got to, and it shouldn't show up if it's been declared cleared. Um, Driving history is really hard. I guess it's
Yeah,
probably a lot
yeah.
easier to clean up on the the criminal charges are a lot easier to clear as what driving record is. But I do know people that had their driving records cleared, but then you hear the same stories sometimes that, oh, but it's still showing up. So it's like, do you have to declare? Like the government says, oh, we'll give you a fresh start. Here's a clean record. But
Yeah.
then the companies that you apply for somehow have access and it's still there. I think if you're granted a clean record, it's gone. If there's no notes, it's completely wiped from the database. There should be
That
no
should
access at
be the
all.
case, but
That
it's
should
not.
be the case, but it's not. It
It's
still
not,
sits
and
there.
not in
So
this
how do you
country.
get a
Yeah.
fresh start? So you're given a fresh start without giving the fresh start. You're told, yeah, we'll clean your record, no worries, but we're going to spent your conviction. So then, yeah, it won't show up. But now employers have got onto that. They're like, oh, we'll just put in one of the questions: do you have a spent conviction? Do you have a spent driving record? Well, the idea of
Yeah.
that being cleared is to get a fresh start. So, what gives the company the right to ask about the spent convictions? Because that completely defeats the purpose of starting fresh. So
Exactly,
it
it
almost
does.
makes the process null and void. It makes it frizzleless.
So it's like, well, we're going to tell people to ignore that part of your criminal history, but we're still going to tell them about it.
Yeah. The only plus side about, I guess, cleaning both those records,
Mm.
driving and criminal, is if they don't ask for that spent conviction. So it sort of does give you a fresh start. So if you apply for a role and it says, "Do you have a criminal record?" you can then tick no. And if
Yeah,
the question
yeah.
doesn't come up, "Do you have a spent record?" well, you don't have to disclose it because your criminal record will show, your NPC will show no record. And it won't
Yeah.
show your spent convictions because that's a totally different documentation. So,
Mm.
in a way,
Yeah.
yes, you get a fresh start. But then on the other hand, companies have cottoned onto it and now asking the question, got a spent conviction. So, are you really getting a fresh start?
And then, even so, right? You answer yes to that question, or you answer yes to the criminal record question,
Yeah.
and then you get sent out on the road with a crew, and nobody in that crew is told about what your conviction is.
Mm,
Okay,
that's right.
so say you've been convicted of how can I how can I put this
GBH,
lightly?
assault, grievous bodily harm.
I was going to say stuff to do with kids, right?
What's one to do with
And
kids? Well, you've got the main one that's been on the news lately, which is
yeah, that one.
internet.
And
So
it,
you've got internet. What do they call it? Procuring.
mm,
Procuring underage kids, either in person or on the internet.
yeah, but say you're in our industry and you get sent out to a job that's got a school within its within its confines, and you get, say, your team leader doesn't know that you have this particular conviction to do with children.
Yeah.
Um, what are you going? What's going to happen there?
Well, that's it.
Mm,
I think in
that
jobs where if you're working and it's around a school, that'll come down to the company. I'm just responding to a chat.
yeah,
Steve's
yeah.
put a chat in level super low, guys. I don't know what.
I'm not quite sure what that's meant to mean.
I've just asked that question. What do you mean? Yeah, I think if that kind of person is employed and you are going to work on a school or something like that,
Mm,
that would
mm.
have, you would think that the company that's employed this person would not put him on that job, or they've done the proper checks to deem him not a risk to be on that job.
You'd hope it would be the latter, but I know that there are several companies out there, or maybe more, that wouldn't even bother to check.
Yeah. Roberts has put a shouldn't be hired. Those convictions won't get cleared. Uh, yeah, potentially those charges won't get cleared. I do know someone that I worked with that had that charge of an internet charge,
Yeah.
and he had that
Mm.
15 years ago. I was working with him on a mine site, and he had to serve I think it was 10 years, uh, and he's just had that cleared in the last few years. So you can get it white, but it does come down to what the situation was, the nature of the offending. Was it just the internet? What did they meet up with the person? You know, there's a lot of how do I put this? A lot of different levels, I guess you can put it. So if they actually met up with him, no, 100% agree. It needs to stay on the record. But if it was, you know, the situation they were just chatting on the internet and they were talking shit and then they've been caught and they've served their time, they've proven that they're not a risk, that their offending has been really rehabilitated, then yeah, it's a 50-50.
Yeah, I suppose that's true. It's it's very much to do with rehabilitation, but like if it's been
Yeah,
proven that this person's actually
a risk.
done stuff with kids and is a
Then it
risk,
should
then
never,
it's
then it should
yeah.
never come off the record. I think if you get deemed a pedophile, that stays with you. That doesn't come off. If you've been deemed a full on,
Yeah,
you've met up
yeah.
with a young person, young girl, young boy, and you've committed a sexual act, then that stays on your record, and
I
there's
mean,
no
that
way
shit
of
should
getting
stay
that
on
off.
your record forever, and that's coming from both
100%.
of us as dads.
As dads, yeah.
Mm.
Do I agree that everyone, I agree on that part. Well, the best thing I think the Australian government has done is they're trying to pass, and they've just brought the bill in to have every underage person under the age of 16 cannot have social media. It is the best thing they've ever invented to have that law come into place. It
It
stops
is.
underage people getting on there, but it also has the flip coin. They can't
Mm,
then
mm.
talk to their father anymore. But I think if it's monitored by the parents and the parents have control, okay, you can still talk to your parents even though you split up. Your mum's giving you access, and it's like on a parent account, and say this is a parent account. You can talk to your father through the parent account. But I think the social media ban for anyone underage, that's great. It will
I agree with
prevent
that.
a
I
lot of
like that.
crime. It will prevent a lot of crime. It'll keep kids safe. It'll stop the actual rock spiders, pedophiles trying to get on there and procure underage kids to commit these indecent acts on children. And I do believe if you're one of these people that have a mind that is so fixated on kids, you need to get help. You need to go speak to someone and say, look, I've been getting these urges to talk to kids or something. Go talk to someone, get the help you need, um, because it's not the answer. And frankly, you're going to get caught, you're going to go to
Mm,
jail,
mm.
um, and you deserve to go to jail. If you commit these offences, you deserve to go to jail. Do I believe that everyone should be tarnished with the same brush uh, as a pedophile if you commit a sexual act? No, because there's different circumstances, different situations. People have had this kind of stuff cleared off their record that have committed intent. I think they call it intent to procure. They have had it cleared off their
Yeah,
records,
yeah.
um, because the circumstance was they were drunk on the internet or they were under the influence of drugs, and they've spent the 10, 13, 15 years or whatever it is that they get stung with, and they've proven to the courts that they've rehabilitated.
Mm,
Now, I think
mm.
even if they had that cleared off their record, I still think the police would watch you regardless.
And I
So
think that is fair. They
it'd be
should
fair.
watch those sort of people.
Yeah. And I think
Um,
it's one of these situations where it gives that person a second chance at life, but it also, it's a constant reminder to always watch your kids, what they're doing. Make sure you're monitoring who they're talking to on the internet. And now that this law's come in place, it's making it a lot safer for the kids. It's making it a lot safer for the parents because you're not allowed to be on social media anymore if you're under the age of 16. But still
they
monitor what your kids are doing and what they're playing online and who they're chatting to, even through gaming streams. So, yeah.
So we've had a couple of comments come in since you started on that.
Yeah, I was just having a read of that.
So Robert has said most clients request TCs with blue cards or
Yep.
WWCC for any works within school zones.
Yeah, WWC, working with children's chat. Yeah.
Yep, yep.
Yep. And that's,
That's fair. And then
that happens. Yep.
mostly recently, Steve has said I read
Roblox and Xbox has parent controls that allow parents to vet their kids and what they are doing online, alerts if something sus is going on. Yeah, they do. I don't like my kids being on Roblox. I won't even let
that
it on. I
game
don't have my
shits
kids.
the fuck out of me.
I don't have roadblocks on any of the stuff when the kids come here. But
Agreed.
when they're at
Yeah.
home, their mother, not my wife, because I only get weekend access. That's personal decision, just so me and the wife can still work. But yeah, I won't let them on roadblocks, but their mother lets them on roadblocks, even though the warning signs are there. Xbox is good. PlayStation 5 is the same. They've all got parental controls. It's the headset and who they're chatting to when they're in live games like Call of Duty and when you're on GTA 5 online. It's those kinds of interactions you want to be monitoring as well. But
And the thing is, right, you can't rely on these systems. Let's say they use AI or something like that to pick up on trigger words.
yeah, exactly right.
There are ways around trigger words. I mean, let's use the phrase "unalive" for example, to get around the word for suicide or murdered on YouTube, right? So there are always ways around trigger words that these people will figure out, and it isn't difficult for someone to create a profile on PlayStation Network or on Xbox Live that says that they're like 12, 13, when in actuality they're like 45.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. And I was just
So
thinking as well,
still,
we've got in the zone, we should link up our Shonky traffic controllers into this thing, into where we've got in the zone. See if we can somehow get that one to go live, because that's got over 1,000 people on that as well. So we'll
I
try
have
that for the
tried.
next one.
Yeah, we'll try it for the next one.
Because that'd be
We'll
awesome.
give that a go.
Alrighty, we're almost at an hour now, guys. Thanks for tuning in for this episode. Thanks for all your comments, and definitely
Yeah, it's
shoot
been
us
really
messages.
great having some actual live people to chat to that aren't just each other.
Yeah, that's it. And it's good to see that they're all from the local area as well. So send us your questions. If you've got if you've got any questions you want to ask us, send them in. If you want to join the show and you've got a story you want to tell us, send us the story and we'll have a read of it, and we'll reach out if we think it's appropriate to be on air.
We'd truly enjoy that.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. But right now, a word from our sponsors. All right, so to kick us off, we do have who is actually a good friend of ours, Three Wheeled Bicycle. Love
Hell
their
yeah.
podcast. Been watching.
They got a good episode up at the moment.
Yeah, I've been watching all their episodes and listening to it on the Spotify.
Go listen to Stevie V over there from Casper, Wyoming.
Yes. Wyoming.
You gotta love the way he says his town name, Casper, Wyoming.
I can't wait till we finally join their podcast. We are going to do a crossover with the Three Wheel Bicycle and In the Zone. That'll be awesome.
Yep.
Can't wait for that. Our second sponsor, who's a good support, is Swag HQ. There's someone with a goal. If you're passionate about whatever it is you're doing, a business, a sport, anything you're doing, someone with a goal, go check them out. Swag headquarters. They also create 3 months worth of content in a weekend. So if you have a business and you deem that, creating content's really hard, you struggle to find the time, reach out to Quentin Tafara at Swag headquarters, and he will give you a quote, and it's a lot cheaper than what you think.
So what exactly does Swag do
Swag
for businesses?
Is someone with a goal, and what Swag does is they go out there, they create 3 months worth of content, and they also interview the CEO or the director of the company and ask them how they got to where they are, from starting small to getting to a multimillionaire. What did you do? What did you learn? The ins and outs, the errors, the good and the bad. So they do a full interview with them, record everything, and they chuck it up online, just to educate people on, the good and the bad about business.
So really, it's like an advert, but at the same time, it's like a TED Talk.
It is, and it's like a TED Talk. It's like they got merchandise, so they got swag hoodies, and it's not just for business as well. If you're passionate about fitness, you're someone with a goal, get your swag hoodie on, and on the back of that, it says "Do not disturb." So every time that hoodie's up, they know not to disturb you. It is awesome. We've got the other sponsor as well, On Track Meals. They are
ontrackmeals.com.au.
in the zone 10 for your
Yep.
discount of 10%. And they're always running promos, so you can get as high as 20% off that I've seen. They were running a 20% promo at one stage, so there is times where you get 30% off. So at the checkout, type in the coupon code in the zone 10 and you'll get your 10% discount.
So maybe we'll let Swagman talk about what exactly On Track Meals does, because I have some severe hiccups at the moment.
Yeah, so on track meals is your breakfast, lunch, and dinner rolled into one. You go on their website and you can order any kind of meal. Breakfast meals, beef for lunch, spaghetti bogs, butter chicken, and you can get these go packs and they last. I want to say 2 years. I could be wrong. It could be longer. So all you do is chuck in a little bit of water, chuck your meal in the heat bag, bang. In 10 minutes, you've got a steaming hot meal. And I tell you what, I'm still ordering it now, and I'm not even camping. So it's good for traffic control. It's good for your construction work. Chuck in a meal, 10 minutes, bang, meal's ready. You never have to worry about, what am I going to have for lunch? Just grab one of your on-track meals, bang. Easy.
So how have you found the whole cooking process with the On Track Meals
So
that you've ordered
easy.
so far?
Like, you just need a bottle of water, and it's only like a 3-4 mils worth of water. That not even that. It's like a bottom quarter of the bag of water, and it steams up your meal, and it tastes great. The thing is that people would think, it's not going to taste as good. It tastes amazing. That's the problem. It actually tastes like you cooked it in a pot. There's nothing bad about it. And I am making another order soon because I'm starting my new job on Monday. So I will actually be ordering another roll of on track meals. So it's the meals are great. There's so much variety, different bundles you can click into. So yeah, check them out on trackmeals.com. I think it's
you got a
.com.au
few different.
or it could be just .com.
It's .com.au.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Wow, that one actually made it.
That's it. That is all our sponsors for now. Thanks guys for joining us, and we will see you on the next episode. Follow us on Shonky Traffic Controllers as well on the Facebook page. Share it with your family and friends, and we will see you on the next episode.
Yeah, absolutely. Special thanks to Maddie, Rob, and Steve who have listened in on our actual
Facebook
podcast Facebook page in the zone, the Traffic Controllers toolbox.
Thanks for joining, guys.
Yeah, make sure you guys tune in and have a listen when this goes. Excuse me, fuck these hiccups.
This will be live on Spotify come Monday morning.
Or Tuesday morning.
Tuesday morning. All right, guys.
All right.
Take it easy.
Take it easy. Bye-bye.